I saw this bugs remaining thing over here on the side of the UI, and the first thing that my peanut brain thought was that is the number of like errors in the code that I still have to fix. You can tell what I've been doing for the past 2 weeks. Hello, all you crazy people out there. My name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games. Welcome back to making a bullet hell game in Game Maker Studio 2. All right, we have a lot of basic game systems. We've got like enemies and players and that sort of thing working. We've got some nice UI on the side. Today I'm going to be working on a pause state. If I were to go back to the to-do board, there's a couple things related to pause states that I like to do. One is the pause state itself, having anything and everything skip their step events if the game is paused. And then of course there is UI stuff, because this is the UI section of project management. There is a lot of UI stuff in this game that I want to get done. All right. So I think the way that I'm going to do that is going to be rather similar to ways that I've done UI in the past in games. I'm pretty sure this is how I did it in Bombardier last time, and I'm going to do it again here. There's a couple ways to do pause in video games. There are some that people like more than others. This is basically the only way of doing pause in video games that I like. So let's define a set of enumerated values. Let's say enum game states. We can have playing, we can have paused, and just to future-proof a little bit, I'm not entirely sure if this is something that I'll actually need to do, but I will also have title for a title screen state. I'm not entirely sure if this is going to actually be used, but I will include it anyway. And then we will have a state on the game controller that says that's going to be equal to game states.playing. And then next thing that we'd probably like to do is have a way to toggle this. For example, when the player hits the escape key, if keyboard check pressed VK escape, we can do a little toggle if game controller.state equals game states.playing. The state is going to be set equal to game states.paused, else the state is going to be set equal to game states.playing. And yes, there are ways that you can do this in less code. You can do this in one line with a conditional if you want. I'm not going to be doing that today. And then, getting back to what I said a minute ago, if the game is currently in the pause state, so if game.state equals game states.paused, we can simply return out of any events, out of any methods that are running that would be relevant to the step event. Things will still draw. Animations may still play. I'm not sure if I want animations to still play or anything like that once we get down to doing visuals in the game. But for now, the only thing this is actually applying to is the level structure. So you can see some things like the time ticking down, or the time ticking up, I suppose, is stopped when I hit the escape key. Can you actually hear me hitting the escape key? I'm realizing that that's not obvious. Anyway, the next thing I need to do, because every object in the game is its own GameMaker instance, that is one of the drawbacks to not making everything in the game a struct, as I did in Bombardier, is that it is you do not get as much control over the game loop as you would have in if you made everything a struct and told everything explicitly when to fire its events. Some people do like to use a little trick known as instance deactivation for pause states, and that would get around the problem that I'm describing, but I really do not like that solution because it introduces a bunch of other problems that you have to work around. And in the end, I don't think it's any less work than just doing this. So I will go and create myself a script. I'm just going to create like a group miscellaneous stuff. And one of these miscellaneous things is going to be a function that's function is playing. And that is just going to be a little wraparound for return game controller.state equals game states.playing. And that way I can just, instead of having to type out if controller.state equals whatever every single time, I can just ask for this function call. And then if not is playing, then we can just return. This also affords the benefit of Let me close the room editor for now. This also affords the benefit of if I ever in the future want to change the way that the pause system, the pause state is defined in the future. All I have to do is edit this one function instead of having to like edit every single place in the code where this would be typed out the long way. The benefits of that should be obvious, and it will also keep computer science theory nerds from complaining in the comment section constantly. Arguably the most important part. Alright, so the game controller's step event, this is just calling the level.update. I'm completely okay with leaving this here. I do not want a similar breakout of the step event in the game controller object, because I still do want it to be able to process the step event. First and foremost because the levels update method is where like pause is determined in the first place. Actually, you know what? With that in mind, this really should go here. Because that's really not a level thing, that's really a game, like a global game state thing. And then we can use self. Instead of asking for our object type the long way. Okay. So I'm gonna hang on to this. I'm gonna keep that copied, and I'm gonna paste it into a bunch of other places. Let's see. The way that inheritance works in GameMaker. There's a couple like object types. I don't believe pickups don't inherit from anything. Entities obviously don't inherit from anything. That's like the main type. And bullets don't inherit from anything. Each of those are sort of their own families of inheritance. Let me deal with entities first because that is the most obvious. If I go into your step event and do this here, if not is playing return, that will, I believe, not be carried over into every single other thing that derives from it automatically, because I don't believe return will actually end the event. There is the exit keyword, which is supposed to do that, but I don't believe that actually happens in the in inherited events either. So if I were to hit the escape key, you can see the timer isn't changing. So that's still going, but the player is still moving, even though it should inherit from entity, which should be turned off when the game's pause state is invoked. So nonetheless, I can do this. If not, is playing return. And now I hit the escape key, and I can move my mouse cursor around. You can see my mouse cursor, and the player is no longer acting. If I were to click, no shooting. All right. If I hit the escape key again, the game is paused and the player is locked again. Okay. So let's apply that to the rest of the entities in the game. Entity foe. Once again, the vanilla foes. We're going to need to deactivate when the game is paused. The rest of the objects in the inheritance tree, you are not currently overriding the step event. That's okay. Okay, that's just paths. Where was I? Foe aim, you do not either. Foe chase, you do, because you need to be able to actually lock onto the target and not not just use the inherited step code. Explode does not. Radial does not. Spiral does not. Okay, so I can let's close some of these. Close some of these object editors. I'm not yet sure, as of my recording this, when GameMaker's fabled workspace overhaul is gonna happen, but as you can see, I am still recording this somewhat in the past, but I'm interested in what that will involve. I don't have like a burning hatred for the current GameMaker Studio 2 workspace system, although I know a lot of people do. I'm definitely curious about how any such overhaul is going to actually work. Next, let me look at bullets. Bullets in the step event. I can insert the same if is playing return code. The same thing will happen for the derived classes. This doesn't currently have any code in the step event, but I'll put it there anyway. And bullet fire breath, which is the player's special. Okay. I kind of feel like even the things, just in case I like want to override them with something and forget later, if I were to inherit the event like this and do nothing, I kind of feel like I should put if not is playing return, just in case I want to do something with it later and I forget. I won't go back to do that for all the enemy types though. Next, pickups. I don't think any of the pickups inherit from the step event. I think all they do is override the all they do is extend the collision event with player, although I'm not sure. I will go and check this right now anyway. So you do not, no. Alright, that's fine. So this should adequately prevent things from running their step events when the game is paused. Okay, that took about, I want to say, what, 10 minutes? Alright. Bullets are frozen, the enemies are frozen. If I can get a pickup of some sort on the screen without dying, and if I were to escape the game when that happens, come on, spawn there we go. Okay, you can see it's barely on screen in the corner, but it is indeed frozen, and when I resume the game, it's back. Okay, that's a pause state. I can check that off of the project management board. Everything skips their step event. Yeah, sure, 15 points, whatever. Everything skips their step event when the game is paused. Next, draw menu, draw the pause menu. That is going to work similarly to the way that menus and such worked in Bombardier, because as it turns out, I actually like the UI solution that I came up with for that game. It's easy enough to use. If I wanted to add fancy, complicated UI elements, it might be a little bit weirder, but as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty good. UI system is another thing that is coming down the pipeline eventually as far as Game Maker is concerned, that I'm very interested in seeing how it's going to work, although I think for the rest of this game, certainly I'm going to stick with what I have. So, where's the room? Room 1, which I've never yet bothered to rename. In the UI gameplay layer, let me just, Control-D duplicate this. I can't do that. Okay, I have to manually duplicate it. So can I say UI pause? Like that. And when I'm in here, can I, move this into the middle of the screen? Is that centered? It should be centered in the actual gameplay area, shouldn't it be? Anyway, I'm fine with just having a text label and maybe, a few buttons. Don't need all the duplicates. This is going to be a text label. Your text is going to say... game is now paused. Do you have creation code? You do not, okay. And then, resource manager, clone resource, create destination folder, access to the path is denied. Why? It's ridiculous. That's Game Maker's folder. Alright, anyway. Right now, this couple of objects on the screen should not appear in the game unless I tell it to, even if it's visible in the room editor. And that is convenient because if I were to go back to the game draw GUI event, and I can say if is, instead of using the quick function, all right, you know what? I'm going back and forth on this here. Is paused. And that's going to look, all right, paused with the correct verb tense. I'm going to define another function is paused here because, again, if I end up doing something with the title screen, simply saying "not is playing" is going to cause this to be drawn on cause the pause menu to be drawn on the title screen, which is not desirable. If is paused, we can render the UI pause menu. And that should... Okay, you are actually not centered. That's going to be because of the alignment in the room editor. If I were to... Oh boy. I could, like, add my own alignment that's, like, centered, but instead of the entire game window, it's, like, centered minus the width of the UI on the side. That might be a little bit overkill. I think I should be able to set the alignment to just FA center and FA middle, and that will draw the menus relative to the center of the room. That might not work either. That might not be what I actually want. Anyway. Oh, no, okay, that actually centers it. And then I wonder if I make the game window bigger, we should... If I make this like 1600 by 900, it should still be centered relative to that, right? Alright, that looks pretty centered to me. The UI on the side over here is a little bit of the wrong size, but that's a solvable problem for later. Alright. There we go. I would like to have something else in this text label besides actually saying the game is paused, though. Pause game. Or even just pause. Fewer words is generally nice. And then there can be a couple buttons like where's graphical stuff, user interface stuff. UI button, we can have... Can I turn the grid back on? Am I too zoomed out for the grid? There we go, grid. We can have something like resume game. We can have why are you tilted by like a degree. Okay, a quarter of a degree, correction. Variables, you can be something like, oh, why am I blanking on this? Resume, there can be a resume button, there can be a restart button, settings, and quit, I believe, is the buttons that I had on the pause menu. And Bombardier, that's honestly fine. This is going to work pretty much on the same principle. Let's see, extend you upwards a little bit. If the alignment is off, I can take care of that later. So that's going to be resume. You do not have an on-click function defined yet. I will get to that soon enough. You can be restart. You can be settings, and you can be quit. Alright, very similar to Bombardier. And now if I were to run the game, then all this should happen. So, okay, that is... I saw that out of the corner of my eye, and I was trying to remember if I carried over the sound effects. I guess I didn't. For now, in the UI button definition, you have a couple of variable definitions, including a sound on click. I'm going to default this to, like, no asset. And okay, so we are checking to see if the sound exists before we do that. Before we try to play the sound, because if we try to play a sound that doesn't exist, that sounds like a good way to make nothing good happen. Alright, you... Okay, wow, good job, me. This is still hard-coded. Alright, so all I did when I brought this over from Bombardier was like basically put the entire UI folder in a local asset package and then like export it and then import it. It would seem that that is maybe not the best way to do this. Sound priority UI, that's another macro that's not defined, isn't it? I'll just make that one for now. I'll get back to that later. And game.player cursor over UI, that is not relevant to us anymore because we do not have any raycasting into the world happen, and we do not need anything to block a raycast. This UI block raycast is essentially just there to serve as a nice background for menus. And obviously, the line that I just deleted is no longer used. Okay, probably should have thought about that for more than 0 seconds before I just straight up imported the code. But since when do I do that? So first, the pause menu itself is okay. I do need, however, FA center FA center and FA middle as the alignment. If you'll give me a minute, I will just copy these changes over into all the other buttons. Okay, that has been done. That is the kind of tedious work that really does not need to be shown on video because it's probably going to be rather boring to most people. We now have the buttons correctly aligned. Next, there's a couple easy ones. Resume game can be done with by defining a function in the resume game button, and that can be just game controller dot state equals game states dot playing. This is another one of those things that maybe I want to abstract away into a function call in the mist group over here for like pause and resume and whatever. Yeah, I suppose that would be a good idea. Let me do that. Except instead of putting them in the miscellaneous group, I'm gonna put them in the game controller. I'm gonna define a few methods in the game controller. Where is the game controller? I'll just say pause and make that the method. Like this. And then over here, instead of doing this, game controller dot unpause. And then in the step event, this can be self.pause, and then if you hit the escape key, self.unpause. And that should give us maybe a little nicer way to do this. Let's hit the escape key, hit it again, great. Hit the resume button in the menu, that's also great. Okay. I think that's good for now. I am 25 minutes into this recording. That is kind of what I wanted to do in this video. Not the most exciting work, but it feels like a good stopping point. A kind of last-minute addition to Bombardier was that I put an actual button on the regular gameplay UI that paused the game for you. I guess I could do that now. No, I won't do that now. I'll put it on the list for later. All right. Anyway, let's see if I go back to hacking plane over here. Pause state, draw menu. Let's see, yeah, I can finish that one. I can knock that one off. That's 30 points. Pause state, restart, yes, no. I will do that next time, restarting the level. Pause state, back to menu. This is kind of a thing that I'll have to, that I really won't be able to actually implement until I have a title screen, which is going to be a little bit later down. First, I want to get the gameplay UIs sorted. That'll probably be another 2 videos, maybe. Maybe 1. We'll see if I can knock out all the menus, win, lose in one video. I think I might be able to. It shouldn't take too long. So this is where we are right now in Sprint 2. 26% through the work items, 23% the way through the points. Let's see. If I haven't really been sticking to showing the progress metrics at the end of every video, but I like to do that because I like data and I like visualizations like this. I don't know if anyone else is into this kind of thing, but I like it. What happens if I click the advanced metrics? Does this like, okay, this is the, this is like the other non-programming breakdown thing. I don't have any art or design or writing items to knock off ideas, sound, bugs. I usually add bugs as I find them, so since we're still fairly early in development, they haven't had a chance to pile up yet. As for art, I probably should have just like in the content and polish phase over here, like blocked out like 100 points worth of effort for art tasks that are to be broken down TBA, but Anyway, that's where we are. If you want to see the code for this, link down in the GitHub repository down in the video description. Otherwise, I try to post about 2 game dev videos a week, one of these and one tutorial. I like the weirder parts of GameMaker, 3D stuff, shader stuff. We will be getting to shader 3D stuff in due time in this series. I have a Patreon, so if you want to contribute any bit towards these videos being made, links to that can be found in all the usual places. If you wanted to pledge, I definitely would appreciate it. Otherwise, I said otherwise twice. Until next time, I hope you all enjoyed that, and I will see you all later. Special thanks to Zenjamin, Then Nothing Happens, Squarecrow, Sindra Larson, Posho, Gunnar Clovis, GameMaker, Edward Holt, DJ Gibbles, and Army Armbruster for supporting these videos. If you want to see your name in the credits or hear yourself shouted out at the end like this, head on over to the Patreon page down in the video description to join the fun.